Hey guys, welcome back. In the last front bumper episode, I went over the condition of the bumper, disassembled and repaired the black grill bits. Then I cut up the damaged part of the upper section and hot stapled the good portion from my base bumper. In this episode, I'll be starting on the bodywork. I first started by sanding the entire bumper with 80 grit sandpaper. I quickly realized that it's going to take forever by hand, so I bought this Tack Life orbital sander from wish.com. This sander was recently featured on Donut Media, and they actually gave it a pretty good review, so I thought I would try it too. It was less than 20 bucks shipped, and it came with a bunch of sanding discs too. After using it for this project, I can safely say this is a solid tool for the price. Actually, it's a solid tool, period. If you're starting bodywork like me and need a sander but don't want to commit to a brand name one, I suggest you give this a try. I highly recommend it. So I did some steps off camera, but largely what I did was this whole area was completely ripped apart, so I bonded it together with some JB Weld. Same with this side. And so I'm gonna sand this down with 80 grit. And the rest of the bumper was in pretty bad shape, as you guys saw. So I went over it with 80 grit sandpaper with the orbital sander. Most importantly, this section, I went over it with JB Weld and then sanded it off as well. And then this part I still have to sand down too. And that's how the other part looks. In addition to the hot staple, I also went ahead and did extra reinforcement with the JB Weld. So this part is basically structural now. So I went over the JB Welds with 80 grit sandpaper, and now I think the angle is pretty much as good as it's gonna get. I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. Same with this side. So next step before doing the body filler stage is to go over everything with 180 grit, because right now it's kind of fuzzy. So we want it to be a little bit more smoother. So now the bumper is completely clean. There's nothing coming off of it. The part that needs body filler the most is the bottom parts here. As you can see, there are a bunch of scratches and holes. I was going to use body filler here as well, along the place where the two bumpers meet. But the JB Weld actually did a very good job of filling in the seams, except if you look closely, there's like air bubbles. So I'm gonna do another run through with JB Weld, and that should be good enough. I don't think I need body filler for that. So time for the hardener. It hardens in 5 to 6 minutes, so I gotta work fast. This is my first attempt at body filler. As you can see, it filled in a lot of the scratches. However, on the paper it says it cures in 5 to 6 minutes. But by the time I got to this side, it was already like hardening, so it kind of screwed up right here. So this stuff, for me at least, is really hard to work with. So call me crazy, but instead of using the body filler for the rest of the scratches, I used JB Weld. The JB Weld stuff is much easier to work with, and it dries slower, and it's supposed to be just as good as the body filler, if not better. So that's what I decided on. So if you see here, I did everything with JB Weld. Same with here and all along the body. So the next step is to just sand away everything with 180 grit sandpaper, and then I'll do a final clean, and then it's time for a primer. This is after 2 coats of primer, and there are some places that still need a little bit of filling. This corner here and the other side is the hardest part because it's very hard to reach for sanding. So I'm gonna leave it like this for now and see where it goes from there. I'm gonna be using this glazing and spot putty. It's good for metal, wood, fiberglass, and sanded primer and paint, which is what this is. So I think this is the right stuff to use. Alright guys, this has become kind of a disaster. I wasn't expecting it to be perfect, obviously. It looks okay from 10 feet, but I think the way the silver sparkles, it's really easy to tell the difference in the wave. So it's really spotty in some areas. This is about 2 to 3 coats. You can definitely see where the cut was. When the primer was on, you couldn't really tell, but with the silver, the way it reflects light, you can definitely tell, and it doesn't look good at all. So I'm a little disappointed, but this was my first try, and I think I just have to accept it for what it is. I'm gonna just keep going, put the 2K clear on, and see how the final result looks, but I'm not expecting much. I'm actually expecting it to look really bad. So I'll see you guys in a minute. All right, and this is after 3 coats of the 2K clear. And this is also a disaster. For example, here it came out pretty good actually, but if I move down here, you can hear that it's pretty rough. So I don't know what happened because I put on the same amount everywhere. At least that's what I thought I was doing. I haven't removed all the masking off, so that's okay. But if you look here, it's also pretty uneven and rough. Since I came this far, I'm going to just be a man and put it on and see what it looks like. Okay. All right, my friends, this is the final result. Man, it looks so good on camera, but once you go closer, there's a lot to be desired. But I am still going to upload this video even though it didn't quite turn out how I imagined it to be. I don't think anyone should be afraid to put out their mistakes out there. So this project took me about 2 months to complete. I wasn't working on it the whole time, but due to life and other things, I could only work on it probably twice a month, and I was trying to do it on a budget as well, because this bumper started its life as a pretty pathetic shark tooth bumper. A couple things I would have done differently is where I made the cuts, because that looks pretty bad and that looks pretty bad. So what happened is this bumper has two parts, the bottom part and then the top part, and the top part flexes a lot. So naturally the weak points are here and here, and because I'm really smart, I decided to make the cut there. But if I were to do it again, I would have made a cut like farther from that weak point, because the reason this is happening is because it's flexing there a lot. It's basically like folding. At this point, there isn't much I can do about that, but definitely wouldn't make that cut there next time. Second thing, I think the paint color matches pretty good. Let's take this area for example. On camera it looks a lot more different than in real life, but the only thing that's different about this paint is that it has more sparkles than the original paint. It might be because this is old. If you just glance at the car overall, it's not terribly different. So I'm very happy about that. This is what I used. It's a GM Ultra Silver BGM 0508. So not perfect match, but very close. This is definitely a 10-footer, and if you get too close, you'll notice the imperfections right away. I'm going to expose myself even more by showing some B-roll footages of the details, but I'm doing that because I want to give a realistic expectation of a result you would get if you did it all by yourself from start to finish with rattle cans. I've seen some professional body shops use a aerosol can and get amazing results, but obviously I'm not a pro and this was my first time, so that's probably where the difference was. But I'm gonna just keep rocking this bumper until I can maybe find the same one in the same color, then I'll switch it out. But compared to the base bumper, this one looks a lot better and it makes the car look a lot newer, so I'm very happy. So in conclusion, the lesson I learned is take bodywork to a body shop. There it is, you heard it from me. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.